my Greenberg studios at WHIG, it's Up Late with Sam Bass.
Thank you, Scott Smith.
You're welcome.
Scott's apparently living the good life. Good evening, Rocky Mount, Wilson, Tarboro, Mars maybe, if you have a Starlink, which I do. Welcome to another episode of Up Late with Sam Bass, brought to you by our buddy over in Wilson, Phil Sabella at Phil's Music Exchange. If you've never been, Phil's shop is a treasure chest full of new and used vinyl, CDs, cassettes, 8-tracks, reel-to-reels. He's got everything along those lines, the analog lines. Go see Phil in Wilson. So, all right, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, start your engines, because tonight's guest is a man who lives by one sacred truth. If you ain't first, you're last. He's the fastest man on four wheels, and he calls himself a big, hairy, American winning machine. He's survived fiery crashes and cougar encounters. That's interesting. Please welcome the legend himself, NASCAR's fastest, loudest, most patriotic blur on wheels. Ricky Bobby is here. And get ready, because once he hits this...
Oh no! Bobby, it's Ricky Parks.
Ricky who?
Ricky Parks.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes more sense. But scratch everything I said already, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, you might want to buckle up anyway, because our actual guest tonight, he may not be a racetrack star, but his name carries serious horsepower here in Rocky Mount and all the state of North Carolina. He doesn't win trophies. I actually know he has won some. He protects people. He doesn't chase checkered flags. He safeguards the entire judicial branch. He is responsible for the safety of justices, judges, and in every corner of the state's judicial system. Thank you, Jamie. That's a lot of J's. So let's raise a glass, because while he may not be Ricky Bobby, he's the kind of local hero who has dedicated his life to service, safety, and strengthening North Carolina. Ricky Parks is here. But before we bring him out, I thought we should take a moment to appreciate the wisdom you pick up while working in law enforcement, because it's not only badges and courtrooms, sometimes it's educational. So here's our top 5 for the night. The top 5 things you learn if you work in law enforcement. And Ricky, you can kind of keep an eye on me and make sure I'm straight here, but I think we're going to hit the nail on the head. Top 5. Number 5. People lie badly. You really learn fast that people are terrible at lying. If someone says, I swear I didn't do it, they definitely did something. For example, I asked Jamie last week if she knew what happened to the bottle of bourbon that I left in my desk drawer. She said no. But she was blinking at me like she'd forgotten her own name, and she was holding a glass and it didn't smell anything like apple juice. Watch it, Lottie. Number 4. A bath towel cannot legally be considered pants. Maybe unless you're in Walmart. I don't know. No matter how tightly you got it tucked around you, but there will always be someone that likes to push the appropriate wardrobe envelope in public. I even heard there's some idiot running around dressed like an elf. Number 3. This is something my parents always told me. Nothing good happens after midnight. After midnight, nobody is just out for a drive. Nobody's just getting fresh air. They're either lost, dazed and confused, or about to star in the next episode of America's Dumbest Criminals. Thank you, Ricky. Number 2. Ricky, you'll appreciate this. Jamie will too. Paperwork is eternal. No matter what happens, there will be paperwork. Endless, eternal, sanity-breaking paperwork. If you catch a bank robber, paperwork. If you arrest a fugitive who's been on the run for 20 years, more paperwork. If you have to save a cat from a tree, guess what? Paperwork. If you work Jamie's day job, paperwork. And the number one thing you will learn in law enforcement is, in law enforcement, you discover that the only thing more chaotic than a backyard foot chase in Rocky Mount is a Rocky Mount City Council meeting with public comments. Sit tight, we'll be right back with my good friend, Ricky Park.
If you're a music enthusiast, check out Phil's Music Exchange of Wilson. They offer thousands of vinyl records, CDs, cassettes, 8-tracks. They even have reel-to-reels, DVDs, Blu-rays, VHS, and video games. Check them out today. Phil's Music Exchange, 207 West Harborough Street in downtown Wilson, or philsmusicexchange.com.
As promised, we're back with my good friend Ricky Park. Ricky, thank you, man, for joining us.
It's awesome.
Always good to see you.
Thank you.
I don't see you as much because you're working in Raleigh these days.
That's right.
So I want to talk a little bit about your career. You've spent your entire career protecting communities and institutions. What originally drew you into law enforcement and public safety?
Well, ever since I can remember, I always wanted to be a policeman.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be in law enforcement, and I think back, and I think it's the shows that were on TV at the time,
Mm-hmm.
Adam 12,
Oh, yeah.
even Squad 51, the fireman show,
Mm-hmm.
just public service type things, but I always would come back to police, CHIPS, Adam 12, etc., SWAT, and so that stuff always interested me, and I said, I'm going to do that one day. And I think if I had a secondary career, it would have probably been to be a truck driver. I like big machines and big things. So
Yeah. So how did you make the move from the Rocky Mount Police Department to the Supreme Court of North Carolina? How did it all come about?
I probably ought to back up a little bit.
Okay.
So I was originally, my family's from Iredell County.
Okay.
And so I was born in Statesville, and but I don't remember living there. I grew up to age 15 in Ormond Beach, Florida, Daytona Beach. And I remember we moved to Rocky Mount because my dad got offered a job with Hardee's Corporate. So we moved back to North Carolina when I was 15. And my first year in school here was at Edwards Junior High School in 9th grade. And when we moved here, it was like a cultural shock because, the Volusia County Mall in Daytona Beach is right across from the Daytona International Speedway, and just a big, massive metro area.
I think that's how I got you and Ricky Bobby mixed up.
That's probably it. And so, I couldn't stand the difference, from that mall that's multi-level. You really need to drive from one end to the other to Terrytown Mall.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember asking some friends, I said, that's really y'all's mall, which was me saying, my mall? Well, I always said when I graduated from high school, I said, I'm going back. And I was actually enrolled in the Daytona Beach Police Academy, and at the last minute withdrew because I got used to the laid-back lifestyle here, and the rest is history. And so I was hired by Rocky Mount Police technically in 86, but I went to the police academy and graduated at Wilson Community College in 87, and worked with Rocky Mount Police for 2.5 years. And then went to work for the Nash County Sheriff when Frank Brown was sheriff, August 14th, 1989. I won't remember names, but I'll remember dates and numbers.
Pretty good.
So I worked there for 9 years and then came back to Rocky Mount Police, I think it was in 2001, and worked there till 2016 when I was invited to go work for the state of North Carolina. Chief Justice Mark Martin at the time called and invited me to come work there. And I was thinking, it'll never work out, but absolutely I would love that. Because at that time I'd been working on the streets for 25 years here, which I have no regrets from the past, but I am glad to be where I'm at today, because I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for that past. But I was kind of burnt out. I was a night shift sergeant for probably my last 6 years. And it was kind of time for a different transition. And so April 25th, 2016 is when I started as a Chief Deputy Marshal at the Supreme Court in Raleigh.
So how did you become the marshal And what are your responsibilities as the marshal and authorities?
Well, the marshal prior to me, I knew him before I took the job 10 years ago, basically. But when I took the job, he was the marshal. We worked together for 10 years, and he decided he was going to retire this year. And once he retired, the court itself, the marshal hires the deputy marshals, but the court, the Supreme Court members, 7 members of the Supreme Court, have to vote and appoint the actual marshal. So you got to have 4 out of the 7, the majority rules. And so they voted. I was nominated, recommended, and I'm very flattered and pleased that I got all 7. That made it that much sweeter. It wasn't just a majority; it was the full court.
Unanimous.
That made it unanimous. That that just makes it that much sweeter.
The authorities of what you said, it was the same as a sheriff. Tell me about that.
So North Carolina General Statute gives the marshal the same authority as a sheriff. And I think most people realize that the sheriff in all 100 counties is the most powerful law enforcement officer in that county. Well, as marshal, I have the same authority as a sheriff, but statewide jurisdiction. And on top of that, any other authority granted by the appellate courts, which is the North Carolina Court of Appeals and the North Carolina Supreme Court.
Very good. That's super interesting there.
Yeah, it is. And
I'm going to start calling you.
I tell people, they're like, wow, man, that's crazy. I remember we had 2 troopers come in to a ceremony one day at the Supreme Court and like, you're one of those marshals. Man, I've been wanting to meet one of y'all. Your powers are
like a
ridiculous.
celebrity.
And then I'm like, well, it is pretty awesome. I said, but it's just me.
Can I call you Sheriff Ricky?
Oh, no, I'm Marshal.
Can I call you Pretty Ricky?
No, there's too many. There's only one sheriff in this county, and
he's a good one.
And Edgecombe County.
They're both
I consider
good
them one.
Yeah.
Love them both. They're both. We've all grown up in our careers together.
I
and
agree.
I'm
I want to
very
get.
proud
I
of
want to
them,
get
too.
both of them on this show.
Oh, get us all 3 together. It might get comical.
We're going to make this happen, ladies and gentlemen. So, was there a single person that inspired you, other than the TV shows, to kind of get into the career you're in?
You know, when I had my oath ceremony on June 1st, I invited a handful of people to come early. And I had asked the Chief Justice if he would mind spending time in the back conference room in a private meeting with these people, and also in his chambers after that. So it was about 10 or 11 people that I invited that really inspired me at an early age in my career, or even in high school, before I even got in law enforcement, before they even knew me, I was watching them. And I knew I always wanted to be involved, and I was always intrigued by people that had positions of, I guess you could say, power. They were well known in the community. They were known to get stuff done. But what I remember about these people is what I want to be, and I hope that people see me as being, is they've got all this, but they're the most humble, the most grounded people you will ever meet in your life. And there's no arrogance about them. And so I like to do things for people kind of behind the scenes with the relationships and contacts that I've formed over time, and just feel good about it, whether anybody knows about it or not, to keep that humility and to stay grounded the same way these people demonstrated when I was looking at them. And you know, I can name you so many people, just like from in high school, before I even got into my career, people like Norma Turnage, Helen Lockery, 2 women were my 2 greatest mentors in my professional career. People like, you know, I'm going to miss others, so I'm going to stop there. But there's a handful of people before I got into law enforcement and since I've been into law enforcement. Those were 2 prior to law enforcement, and then I keep watching them.
Right.
And they were always so humble, but they were trailblazers, and they were known for getting things done. So I wanted to kind of be a trailblazer, get things done, but people to respect me because it didn't go to my head, because that's not what it's about.
Right.
And you know, I hope that's how I'm seen. If I'm seen like any other way from other people, it's just they don't know my heart.
Yeah.
They're just looking from a distance and prejudging, and that's human nature. You can't please everybody, But,
Right.
you know, I say all the time, if you can't get along with me, something's wrong with you.
That's right. I agree with that 100%.
Because I can tell you, if you bring it to me, that something was perceived, I would say I had no idea, and I apologize. I didn't mean it that way.
Yeah. And so now you're the marshal.
I am.
So for people that don't know, what is the day-to-day for the marshal of the Supreme Court of North Carolina?
Well, there's only 4 of us total. There used to just be 1. Then I was hired to be the 2nd position ever, and then we've added a couple more. There's not obviously enough of us to go around to do what we really need to do. So without state, local, and federal help, we couldn't do what we do. I've been to all 100 counties twice, and we're getting ready to go a 3rd time with the Chief Justice. And I'm the guy that's always taking care of him. And also Chief Justice Beasley prior to that, and Chief Justice Martin prior to that. But we go a lot more right now, and he's nonstop. But the main thing is I work more in the intelligence world. Work closely with the SBI, U.S. Marshals, Secret Service, Homeland Security, you know, all of our agencies, all 100 sheriffs, police chiefs throughout the state. We just have great relationships, and I'm able to do my job efficiently because of built relationships over the years.
So you mentioned you work with a lot of agencies and everything. Is it true that there's an air marshal on every U.S. flight?
I'm going to leave that answer to the U.S. Marshal Service.
We can't divulge their secrets.
Well, there's plenty of security in the airlines.
There you go. We'll leave it at that. So law enforcement, it isn't always so serious. Sometimes there's funny situations. I'm sure you've encountered many. Is there any moment from your years of duty that stand out and make you laugh today?
I can really think of 2 things. One is while working for the Supreme Court, you know, we're real strict about cell phones. Silence them, cut them off. You get removed from the courtroom if it's happens more than once. Well, during oral arguments one day under Chief Justice Beasley, the court was in session, and I was the marshal in the courtroom working, sitting up front. So you had a clerk on one side, the marshal on this side, and the arguments in the center, and then all 7 justices to my left on the bench. And so they hear cases all 7 at a time. It's not just 1 judge or 3 judges, it's all 7. And all of a sudden I hear Def Leppard, and I'm looking, I hear Def Leppard music going off. And it was Pour Some Sugar. And I looked out in the courtroom and I realized it was my phone. And I knew I'd cut it off. I cut my ringer off, but I realized a valuable lesson then, always check your volume too, just in case. And it was all I could do to get it cut off. I actually had to pull it out and put it under my leg, get everything I could, and finally got it silenced. And the court didn't skip a beat. And I remember the Chief Justice looking at the time, just looking straight out at the crowd, and kind of glared over to me and kind of a little smirk on her face. And then we went on. And we had quite the embarrassing laugh afterwards.
Well, I can picture that. Pour some sugar on me. Why did you have that as a ringtone?
And of all people, it wasn't a ringtone.
Oh.
I think it was either a Spotify or Pandora.
Oh, okay. I thought it was your ringtone.
Or an ad or something that just popped up and just started playing.
That's funny.
But, you know, there's some stories like that are very embarrassing, and of all people, the marshal himself.
Well,
that's supposed to keep order in the courtroom.
As they say, stuff happens.
It happens.
So you serve on the Governor's Crime Commission. What kind of issues or initiatives have you been most involved with on that?
So there's 3 subcommittees, and I'm on the one that pertains more with law enforcement. Is you know, we deal with mental health issues, you know, treatment centers and all kinds of. It's really grant money from the federal government, and we really have to decide where those monies go. And on the subcommittee that I serve on, we make recommendations to the full commission, as do the other subcommittees that I'm not on. They make their recommendations that I vote on as well. to what our priorities are and where those monies go. And you're talking millions of dollars. It's not as much as it used to be because of all the federal cuts over the years. But it's really important. So I guess mainly what my subcommittee deals with is law enforcement equipment. So agencies will submit a grant request, and it comes before our subcommittee, whether it's for radios, body cams, MDT, the laptops in the cars, just a variety of different equipment. And it's tough decisions sometimes because the money's dwindled, and you got so many requests. So you really have to prioritize, and you also have to look at the, metro areas versus a 10-man department.
Right.
So you try to. It's a balancing act with that as well, but it's mainly divvying out grant money.
Is that similar to what you do with the governor's task force on safer schools? Similar?
That dealt initially with just safety in the schools. It has nothing to really do. The Center for Safer Schools and the Governor's Task Force for Safer Schools. Now, we would assist and send a request to the Governor's Crime Commission for some funding as well for our schools. But so I guess, to help put things in perspective with my involvement with the state, I always wanted to, we got a short window in life when you're given an opportunity, and I believe when you're given an opportunity that you need to be there for more than just this. I truly would like to make a difference during my time with the opportunities I've been given. So I don't want to serve on anything to where it's just, ooh, look who I am. It's not about that. So way back, I'm proud to know that I was appointed initially by a Democratic governor, and I was appointed to other commissions, task force by a Republican governor. I serve currently on the Governor's Crime Commission under the Speaker of the House. I served as a commissioner on the North Carolina Criminal Justice Education and Training and Standards Commission under the Speaker of the House as well. And that commission dealt with all law enforcement certifications, laying out the training, the mandated training for law enforcement across the state, disciplinary hearings, if an officer or a deputy or a corrections officer violated the code of ethics or something that went against the rules of the commission and the administrative code for the state, those things would come before the full commission, and we would vote on, whether that person has a job, whether they have a suspension or whatever.
Yeah, stuff you hear about on the news.
Or we stand behind them and, whatever.
Very good. So we're running out of time. I do want to get a little bit more into your personal life. So you've been married to Rebecca for a while. Is there anything that's considered an arrestable offense at home, like leaving dirty dishes in the sink, forgetting to buy milk, finishing that last piece of pizza without notifying the authorities, flatulence, anything like that that's, that's
Oh, that's a good one. I think the arrestable offense would be as if I was asked to make the bed. I despise making a bed. I get to do other things, and she respects that I can't stand making a bed. But I will, and I have. I got to help out. But
that's a good husband that does that.
Well, and you bring up Rebecca and my kids. You didn't. I'm gonna say my kids, but I could have no stronger, better rock than my wife, Rebecca. I mean, any emails, speeches, and everything. She was 23 when she got her third degree. She graduated with a master's at NC State, and the next day we got married.
Wow.
So she was doing finals and all that and then planning a wedding. But her English degree, not her accounting degree, but her English degree has been very instrumental in speeches and emails, especially when you need to really think about an email before you send it.
Yep.
And
before AI.
That's exactly right.
I do want to ask you, so while you're not serving the state and doing all the things that the committees you're on, what do you just enjoy doing? How do you decompress from all of this?
Well, we just got back from North Topsail, Surf City, Saturday. We'd been there for 8 days, so we jump in our camper. We've been to Branson, Missouri. We go whenever we can to spend time with our kids and our just time together, just to get away. you never really 100% get away, especially when you're the marshal now, even chief deputy marshal.
Right.
But I'm used to that. I mean, you've always got to be available, but I certainly have capable people that handle things
Right.
to where I can actually feel like I can spend some good time with my family.
Very important.
I don't know how much time we got left, but one last thing I'd like to tell you that I think is kind of humorous but cool at the same time is early on as a deputy sheriff for Nash County, I was a 23-year-old deputy out working Nash County by myself after about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. The other deputies would have come back out, but some of the older ones went on home after 2 or 3. Earlier part of the week, it gets a little quiet, and they'll be on call from the house. So I was the only one roving 400 and some square miles of the county. And I remember the interstate trooper at the time, we pulled up beside each other at the Texaco in Dorches. And we were, talking, and, if I got a call that trooper would show up, if he checked off with a car on the interstate or somewhere else in the county, I'd head towards him and check in on him. But when we were sitting there side by side, I said, "Isn't this scary?" I said, 2 23-year-olds are responsible for the entire county. And Keith Stone said, "Yeah, it is."
Wow.
So we've got a great sheriff. I've
Yeah.
got a career full of him to know he's quality, and he's a good friend and a great sheriff.
Long time friend, sounds like.
Yes.
Ricky, I want to thank you so much, man, for coming on here. We really appreciate you and everything you do. He's been a great guest. Maybe we can have you back sometime.
Anytime.
We'll be right back. Hey, I want to thank my guest and my good friend Ricky Parks for joining us tonight. So remember, folks, every Thursday night at 10 and Saturday night at 10 right here on WHIG is Up Late with Sam Bass. I'll see you soon.